so finally got a bit of time to go through the trailer with you. So yeah, the old one was getting pretty rusty in places, and mostly it was just getting too small for what we wanted. There was a couple of extra things we wanted to put on it, and unless I was going to make a double story, these things just weren't going to fit on it. So this one's a Coof trailer, single axle, 2 ton, electric brakes. Tow's so good, I'm absolutely stoked with it. It was quite a hit to sort of buy it. I looked at a few cheaper ones and they were very tempting, but in the end this one won out. Having the independent suspension I thought was a bit of a faff, but now that I've got it, I sort of, I noticed it's such a smoother ride, real easy to tow. But funny thing I noticed, actually left this lid off the other day when I was mucking around with the system at home, setting a few things up, and drove into work and the lid was still right there, so hadn't moved. So it sort of shows how how soft the ride is, I guess, which might make your equipment last a bit longer. What else have we got? So not much as far as equipment has changed. We've got the vacuum at the front for a reclaim, which I'll go through in a minute. The only real equipment change has been the new Jenny. It's exactly the same as the old one with the exception of this one's key start, because I am lazy. So much easier having every single thing there key start. Also makes it easier for staff if you've got staff. Obviously the big change is the headboard water tank, 465 litres now, which is awesome. Wish I did that ages ago. It's very rare that we run out of water on our job now. We simply do not run out if we're using the one machine. Have run out still a couple of times using 2 machines, but what can you do if if you're using sort of like what 40, 50 litres a minute, unless I wanted to go to a dual axle trailer, which I really don't, and have a 1,000 litre water tank. This is the best we're going to get. Got 2 low water sensors in there, so one shuts off the machines right at the bottom there, and then one at around the 100 litre mark turns this light on. So if I'm working, I just and I know the pressure's not great, I'll just look back every now and then. If I see that light flashing, we'll shut one machine down and just have the one go for a while it fills up. Still using the Titan reels. Posted a while ago some issue we're having with cracks around here. It was really only on the one reel where the frame had started to crack, but we've gone and welded a bit of bracing now to the stackers that we made, and now it's solid as, so I don't think that's going to give us any more dramas. Not that it was a big drama, but just annoying when you start to see things sort of go and need repairs, but better to catch them as they go and then you can sort it out. Over to this rack. On the old trailer, one of the biggest pains I had was trying to find somewhere for the surface cleaner to go down. It was always a pain at the end of every job trying to strap it down safely and securely. Don't want it, coming off while we're driving and injuring someone or damaging their property. So I'm really stoked with how this turned out. We just got built it all from scratch, 2 bits of angle here that were measured out to the exact width of the surface cleaner. Gone and put a bar across the front, so that, as you can see, stops the surface cleaner moving forward or up. Physically impossible, which means all we have to do to tie it down is stop it from going backwards, which this locks into place really nicely there. And all I do is put this one bungee cord over the top so it can't bounce off that and bungee off my trailer. The other thing I've got here is just that extension lance, which we use like maybe, I don't know, 1 out of every 50 or 100 jobs. It's really rare that I use it, and I don't like using it, but it is handy to have that little bit extra reach when we do. But yeah, most of the time we can hit stuff from the ground, and that really saves mucking around. So over to the machines, and we've got still got the Kohler EFI, which is running great. Had a little issue with the keyway recently, so that got replaced, which was a bit of an odd thing. The machine was shutting down randomly and I didn't know what was happening, but yeah, Rob worked it out for us and fixed that. Still got the old carby one as backup, or when we've got a big enough job and it's worth having 2 machines going. The main machine is fed from the fuel tank under here, nice and tucked in out of the way, and we've got our cranking battery stored underneath there. That also runs, and I know some people are going to laugh at this, but sort of cool green light in the water tank just for the fun of it. We've got some work lights on the roof which we can swivel around if we're packing up late, which coming into winter it really sucks not having enough daylight. And then we've got our amber strobe up there. I've kept the clearance with all this a bit lower than the ute because I didn't want to lose any clearance if I go in car parks, but I do have to pull this off on the odd job because that's just, I think it's a bit over 2.2 from memory. So if we have a, I think 2.1 the ute clears, but if we ever get a 2.1 car park, I'll have to take the surface cleaner off before we go in. It's not the end of the world, and it's rare that we have to muck around with that sort of stuff where we work anyway. Another thing we've got at the back here is a bit of traffic cone storage. Continuing with the theme of hating to tie things down, I've got this little pin in there on a bar which is bolted down, and that really, just saves a few minutes at the end of the job. And at the end of the day, when I'm building stuff like that or thinking about stuff like that, I almost feel like I'm wasting my time because I think, it's going to take me a few hours or whatever it is to, well, that only took half an hour, but this took us quite a few hours to build. But you go, well, if I do that once, it's a 1 or 2 hour investment, or 4 hours, or whatever it is, but it's going to save you 5-10 minutes every single job. If you're working every day, that's going to pay for itself in time pretty quick. And really, you can't put a price tag on enjoying your work, I reckon. And if you've got everything set up properly, it's just makes life so much easier, So we'll go over the Softwash system next. Like I say Softwash system, but like at the end of the day, it's just a pump attached to a tank. You can do a 12-volt version, the same. And even that term, Softwash system, I kind of hate it, but it's what everyone knows. Like for hyperbole, because that's what I like using, if you were to grab a bucket and you put your chemicals in that bucket and you throw that bucket up against the wall of a house, that's a Softwash system, right? It's a really crap one. It's going to have a lot of downsides. It's not going to be very efficient, but it's a Softwash system. This one is just, flip this back around, press the right button, cheap Chinese pump, plumbed up. I like the way it's plumbed up. It's plumbed up good, and I'll go through that in a second. But it's just a pump that's going to spray the right outdoor cleaning chemical mixture on the job, make the job go either better or faster or both. So don't overcomplicate it. You can use a 12-volt one. Heck, I first started out with a flame and pump up sprayer. I definitely don't recommend it. I think that's a horrible thing to do. But at the end of the day, that was my Softwash setup. Like, it's just a means to apply the right detergents to the surface that you're working with. So the way we've got the Softwash plumbed up is we've got the one hose coming from the big water tank at the front, going to the tap, and then we've got another tap here just going to our soap tank at the rear. Having the soap tank, it's a little bit slower to fill now. We used to be able to gravity fill from the 44, which was a lot higher. But now if that front tank is full, it'll still sort of gravity feed into this, which is good, means I don't have to muck around with the hose most of the time. If I'm organised, if the flow of the job's a bit slow, I'll just unplug this tail here, get the Softwash pump pumping out of the front tank, flick the taps over to the right way, and just pump water into here like that. So it's good to have to muck around with customers' hoses and filling a tank up and then replugging it into the other one or anything like that. Tiny little handy thing here, we just got a little drain tap there for washing our hands, or if we want to dump some water out of the buffer tank, but I'm usually pretty organised. We'll flick off supply as we're getting close to the end of the job, and I'll generally just travel around with about probably 100, maybe 200 litres tops, just to keep the weight down in transit, save a bit of fuel and wear and tear and all that jazz. Just on the bottom of the 44 too, got another little thing there to drain the sludge out of that when I get home onto the dirt. Just put an extension on that, or if I want to rinse the barrel out properly. We've tried, it was a bit of mucking around, it was a lot of mucking around actually, but it's done now. But a lot of the plumbing, if you can see it, is done under the tray, which made it look a lot neater, gives us a bit more floor space up there. But geez, it was a pain in the bum to do. So results good, but and I would do it again, but yeah, it was a pain. The reason I went with a cheap pump like this, I know it's not going to perform as good as some of the specifically designed pumps, but at the end of the day, these, I replace them. When they leak, when they give up the ghost, they get thrown in the bin and I buy a new one. This one at the moment is costing $350 to replace. They used to be $250. COVID, everything's gone up. It is what it is. But it's still, you're making that back on your first job, and compared to rebuilding something specifically made for the industry or modified for the industry or whatever it is, or compared to buying, you know, a petrol P40, which is probably the only thing that actually tweaks my interest now. There's not much else that I sort of think, oh, I want that. It's just so much cheaper, and I really don't find it lacking. Again, if you watch the other video we made, I show you this in action. I'm not going to bother with it today, but we're getting about 9 meters straight up. You know, you can push that a little bit higher if there's absolutely no wind. But yeah, we're washing 2-3 stories house with this with no issue whatsoever, and I can move really quick. One thing that does come up when people are sort of looking at things like this, I notice it's been, people have asked it a couple of times, like especially when they hear us say this pump's 200 litres a minute. Some people go, oh, far out, 200 litres a minute. You've only got a 150 litre tank. Like, how does that work? You're gonna run out of solutions straight away. You're going to be nuking people's gardens. Well, you've got a trigger. And I get that thinking. I thought that originally too when I was going through my different stages of 12 volt setups. And I thought, oh, you know, 10 litres a minute, that's plenty. But you don't think until you know that you're going through 70 metres of hose. So even though this pump is 200 litres a minute on specs, if I unplug this tail here and I'm pumping straight out of 18mm hose only a metre away from the pump, yeah, it's probably pumping close to 200 litres a minute. But then you put it through 70 metres of 12mm hose, through a reel, through a gun, and you're back down to sort of 20-25 litres a minute or whatever it is. I've never actually measured it, but it's good flow. Whereas when I was using 12 volt, it says, you know, the best ones say around 20 litres a minute. You put it through 50 metres of hose, 60 metres of hose, and all of a sudden you go, well, where's the spray? Like, you can just get 2 stories high with it, but it's, you know, it just takes longer. So that's my thoughts. Copy it if you want. Honestly don't care. Like, everyone's got their own ideas, and this works for me. We'll move on to the reclaim system. That's, again, one I copied off someone else, so thanks for that. But, yeah, again, very simple. Bit of mucking around to get it going. We've just got a Skyvac twin motor, Nisfilk vacuum, I think it is originally, and into a 44-gallon drum. So we've got the, I need my stool, hang on a second. There we go, too short for this trailer. So yeah, just that's plumbed up across here into the 44-gallon drum. We've got a little, I think you call them a well pump or a sump pump down there with an automatic float switch. So when it floats up, it kicks the pump on. The vacuum comes in through here, so we put a vacuum hose on that and just screw it on, don't need to clamp it on or anything. Drop that into the gutter, which we've got sandbagged, and then the pump pumps out of that cam lock there, which I hook 20 metres of lay flat hose. So I had quite a lot of teething issues with this, but finally got it working properly. I tested it the other day, and the pump kicked in and out twice, just without any issues, without sucking water into the vacuum. So that was good. I was mucking around with it on a few jobs last week and got sprayed in the face a couple of times because of clogs, and so I cracked it. But I was only tried 12mm first. I knew that wasn't going to work, but I thought I'd try it because that's what I had lying around. And then eventually went to 18mm hose, and it was still clogging. So then I went stuff it, going to irrigation place, getting a cam lock, and 1 inch all the way through. So hopefully now that doesn't clog with leaves and muck, but time will tell. But at least the other benefit, I thought, with the 1 inch lay flat, it sort of sucks itself closed when the pump isn't pumping, so I'm not losing vacuum out of that. Whereas with solid round hose, you can feel the vacuum through the end of the hose, which probably makes it harder for the pump to kick in and out. So yeah, I think that's about it. Just a few other little details which are cool. Got the chlorine storage, gumboots and all that sort of junk, jerry can in the front box, just a cheapo from Bunnings. Got Rob to build us this front bit here for the vacuum. Looks nice and neat, and it also, if we ever get a leak of chlorine in here, it seals off the chassis pretty much completely, or at least the holes in the chassis, so it's just going to dribble down the outside and it can be cleaned off. Got fire extinguisher there. I need to upgrade that. It's getting a bit old actually. It's probably not big enough. Good little thing on this one is having this under tray drawer. Has been a bit of a lifesaver for storage. So we've got just a few boxes there. I've got tap fittings and spares in those two. Got a mask, and this is a bit of OCD satisfaction. So got a few different nozzle sizes here, and I've been able to keep them more organised in this because I've got it all written down. Whereas I don't know if you change your surface cleaner tips for different surfaces, the markings wear out pretty quickly, and it's almost impossible to tell what size is what. So having it marked out on the container, as long as you put them back in the right spot, means you know what tip size you've got when you go to grab one. So yeah, we'll eventually get some signage made up for these boards. I originally sort of thought I would pull these off because I loved having just a flat bed on the old trailer and not having to undo anything, but really I know I'm pedantic with some things about starting a job as quick as possible and not having to untie stuff, but this literally adds about 15 seconds to undo these at the start of a job, and I think it looks a bit neater, and then there's sort of no chance of stuff just falling out when you're driving, even though everything here is either bolted down or tied down. I've just got that there as product placement, but I don't usually carry those, carry a 5, but I think I don't mind the idea of having a spare, so I'll put a little tie down there and just loop it over to that. But as I said, the ride on this trailer is so soft, nothing's going to bounce out. It's just a case of being that, perfectly legal and perfectly safe, which is not a bad idea. So that's it, our setup in a nutshell. A very big one, granted, sorry for the long video. That was a few things to go through there. Feel free to copy any ideas if you think they can help you with your setup. And again, if you see any on mine that you think, oh gee, why has he done that, tell me, because I'm always for improving things. But yeah, after using this for I think we're up to about a month now since we first got it on, and done a few tweaks since then, I think, yeah, I'm finally going to be happy with this, and I will not improve it anymore because I don't think there's much to be done. I'll chuck some links and stuff like that in the description for like the pump and the tanks and stuff like that. But yeah, have a good one. Wash on.